Welcome back. We will start the final of the first FIDE World University Team Online Rapid Cup in a moment. I'm again joined by the tournament director, Grandmaster Bartek Macieja. Welcome again.
Hello, Anthony. Hello, everyone.
All right, we had a lot of interesting action ongoing during the semifinals, but we again do have the match between University of Missouri and St. Louis University in the final. So that explains that they are probably the strongest teams out there.
That's right. In the World Championships, we had first the individual championship with team standings, and in the first event, University of Texas Rio Grande Valley was placed first. In the rapid individual championship, again with team standings, University of Missouri was first. But then the top four teams qualified to that final stage, to the team events, and to play two additional events, which is called World FIDE Cup. That's what we are having today. And on both days, yesterday with the Blitz and today with the Rapid, University of Missouri and the St. Louis University qualified to the finals. Yesterday, University of Missouri won it. Let's see today who's gonna become the champion of Rapid.
Yesterday it was decided only after the tiebreak, so today we might expect a lot more action, maybe another tiebreak, who knows. Let's check the lineups for the first mini-match. We've got for the University of Missouri on the first board Grigory Oparin. Yesterday he was also playing quite strongly. On the second one we've got Mikhail Antipov. He had some ups and downs yesterday, but managed some solid performance. Then Raya Harshit. He also had some ups and downs, as far as I remember. And then Olga Badelka. And the St. Louis team has the same lineup as in the semifinals, with Nicolas Theodore, Benjamin Bok, Stavrula Tsolakidu, and Kamil Khan Ali Marandi. I think the fourth board is really strong for the St. Louis team.
I think both teams and all players are very strong, and that's why they are there in the finals. So I think the result is completely open. We will see what will happen today. I know St. Louis University wants to take revenge for the defeat yesterday, but again, it's a defeat in the final. So they are second in the world. You can't call it really a defeat. It's a big victory, big success to be second in the world. And they have already started. So
yeah, we have the game, so let's jump straight to them. Let's take a look at the game between Grigory Oparin and Nicolas Theodore. E4 B6. What is this? Is it allowed in the final?
Yesterday, Vladimir Fedoseev played the first move A6 and then the second move H6, and he played Rook A7, Rook A8. And he's so good that he won that game. So yes, nowadays I think it's a really bad example coming from the top of the world. And earlier when I used to play chess, it was not allowed.
All right, but now maybe it is, especially this online event in rapid chess. We've got D6. Usually they go like E6 and then bishop to B4, trying to exploit the pin and attack the pawn. But Nicolas went for D6, knight F3, knight D7, bishop D3, E5. So some sort of a field leader setup, or maybe I don't know, King's Indian. It's difficult. It's hard to tell.
Yes, but White's position is always better. Bishop on G7 is passive. Yes, now the other diagonal is weak.
Yeah, bishop A3. Of course, the short castle was forced because otherwise the bishop would get to A3 and enable black to castle. So we've got castles, and bishop still does come to the A3 F8 diagonal, but black wants to exchange those bishops. It's a clearly strategical decision.
That's right, and it's a good decision for black. The bishop on E3 was very active. Now I think black has a good position. He's thinking now whether to capture with the king or with the knight. I think these are the two moves. King F8 and then followed by King G7 is one option. And then I want to move my knight to play Queen E7, move my knight to C5. Or alternatively, I can try to move my
Yeah, king g7 was played. I've got some connection issue with Grandmaster Macieja. All right, can you hear me?
Yes, I am back. Yeah.
Okay, some short lag, but we are fortunately back with the action. All right, king to g7. Can somehow white exploit that extravagant play for the from the black side?
I'm not sure right now. It looks to me like white missed his chance. Now the position is more equal.
I've got an idea. Knight to g5.
Yes. Yes, that's really a great idea. Black will probably play rook e7.
And I take on f7.
Oh, that's good. But then h6 is... and then you give me check.
Yeah, after rook takes, I go knight e6, and I get the fork.
Yes.
And in case of h6, I still get the same fork.
Right, but was that... Oh, so king g7 was the last move of black. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So maybe he missed it.
Yeah, knight g5 is a nice trick. And if just queen goes to e7, I guess I will simply capture with the knight. Because if I take it with the bishop, then I get h6 and the knight is overloaded.
No. Then bishop takes e8, white wins.
Oh yeah, of course, that's true. Yeah, bishop f7 is good as well, because the rook is hanging.
Yes,
so
it's waiting.
And knight g5 on the board.
Yes. Oh, that was like a terrible move by black, king g7.
Yeah, he went for this immediately, but it turned out to be a terrible blunder, because the king looks better on g7, but maybe it was more reasonable to go just king g8.
No, but there was no need to move the king. He doesn't want to go to g8. He wants to go to g7. That's why he went there. But it was just a wrong moment to do it.
But what to do? h6?
h6, yes. You can play h6. No problem.
Yes, stopping the knight.
And then king g7, queen e7.
Yeah, and now Theodore is in trouble. And what is his choice? He went for h6 immediately, forcing the knight to capture, because if now the bishop takes, or does it force? Yeah, because we take on e8, and he ends up being with knight and a bishop for the rook and the pawn, but his king is shattered. So it could be also...
I would say, yes, very unclear position, the final one. But knight f7, let's see, so queen e7, so the knight is trapped on f7, but can black take advantage of this?
Yes, that's a difficult decision, because...
Queen d2, I would say. Yeah. What will you do if I play queen d2? It's kind of a double attack, because I'm also watching this d7, so you cannot make a move with the knight from f6. Like, you don't have a move knight g8, for instance, to protect your pawn.
So how do I protect h6? I have to go g5, because if I do knight g8, then take.
That's right. And my idea after g5 is to take it, because I can see I have many rooks which can go to the third rank.
Yeah, and even rook d7 is too much. Just rook e3, go rook h3 and win the game, I guess. So let's see how...
Knight h7 may happen, but somehow I think white should be much better.
But
and again, there is no need to sacrifice that knight. He played queen e3. Yeah, probably it's also good. I prefer d2 just to watch the d7 knight as well. Plus, maybe after g5, I can play h4. I don't have to sacrifice the knight. And after h4, I think I just win without any sacrifice.
Yes, and he went queen e3, but Theodore went for just the passive knight g8, and he somehow seems to survive the worst. At least he's not getting checkmated, but it's still quite bad.
Yes, you see that precision, just one move. So white was winning in one move, queen d2 instead of queen e3.
But maybe still the position is like great. I can go maybe queen to g3 and create a threat of rook takes d7, followed up by knight to e5.
But that's already not a winning threat, not a winning continuation.
Yes.
White, of course, should be much better, but now the game is going on, so we don't know what's going to happen. The outcome is still unclear of this game.
Yeah, the knight is some sort of in a trap. Maybe his idea was to go something like f4.
Yes.
I'm not totally sure, because after e takes queen d4, you still can cover with the knight.
I think you need to recapture that pawn on f4.
Takes rook d7. No, it doesn't work. I don't know.
Yes. f4 can be played, ef4, queen f4. The advantage of it is you want to take c7, you want to advance e5, maybe with rook f1 you will be able to protect the knight on f7. So indeed, such a move makes sense. But it is not a winning continuation for white. Queen d2 was a winning continuation, like winning on the spot. Queen d2, g5, and then h4.
And it's just game over. All right, and now Oparin takes his time, so he spotted that his idea was not that great. And what he did make a move, and it is f4. All right. So a choice to be made now by Theodore. It's still tough. He takes f4. All right.
Let's maybe see what's going on in other games of the final.
Okay, let's go for Benjamin Bok versus Mikhail Antipov. We've got, of course, the favorite setup of Benjamin, and now queen to a4, trying to take advantage of the pin. By c takes d5, but of course d takes c4 is a crucial move. And Antipov goes with his pawns like a5, h5. That's an interesting attempt, at least. And the pawns go all the way up. Now there was probably no way to exploit that discovery on the queen, since if it were, then it would have probably happened. But b takes a3, queen takes a3. Can I make such a move like knight?
There was some attempt. You know what, Antoni? White could have tried to play b4. Let's see.
Okay, before queen. If queen takes, then I go knight d5. Queen d6, knight b6, attacking this, attacking this. It's not that easy still, because the rook is hanging on a1. But b takes a3 played by Benjamin, and I'm wondering whether a move like knight b5.
Antoni, I think in the other line, the problem with this b4, a4, knight d5 was the move queen b2 for black.
Yeah.
And now it's a double attack. The queen is unprotected, and the knight is also hanging. So if you play knight c7, I will play king d8. If you take, I take with the pawn, and then your rook is already heavily hanging. It's not just an exchange; it's just everything.
Yes, that's true. All right, but I'm curious whether the move like knight b5 was working here, because if I take, then I take on c8, but queen b2 probably still is a savior for...
No, it's not. I take on b2, I give knight c7 check, I win the rook.
Yeah, now... okay, so what's the follow-up here?
There is no follow-up, it's just winning.
So why didn't he play it?
Oh, they missed it. They missed it. Both of them missed it.
Because it looks like a crushing idea. Knight c7 is bound to come, and where does the queen go? It has nowhere to go. Look, if a6, then I just fork it, right?
Yes.
So
the only move is queen b2. There is no other.
Or queen a4 maybe. That's the idea.
Or queen a4. Yes. Oh, queen a4. Of course. So knight c7, king d8. Then the rook is not hanging. Yes.
The rook is not hanging because the queen is hanging. All right. So they see more than us still.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay, so he went for rook b1, knight d7, rook to b3, and now where does the queen go to? Probably a6 or maybe a7. I'm not entirely sure right now. There's many possibilities. Still, something like queen to d6 can be considered, but what's the best?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Queen to c5 also is possible, so there is a pin, just to pin the knight.
Yeah, it's also possible. So, a big decision time for Antipov.
Plus, with queen c5, there is a threat, which is to play knight g3. At least you may think about it. So
the pawn on f2 would be pinned?
Usually it doesn't work because knight g3, bishop e3, but still that's something like an extra possibility which you may have. One day it may work.
Yeah, maybe. All right, so while Antipov is thinking, maybe let's move on to a game from the third board between Raya Harshit and Stavroula Tsolakidu. It was a Sicilian, the famous line with bishop g5, knight d7, queen e2, g6. Okay, that's a regular stuff. Although they used to play after queen e2, h6, bishop h4, and only now g6. So that after, so now f5 would be not that great because I guess the move g5 would come. But black went for g6 immediately. Maybe that's her idea, and we've got some dragonish Sicilian. I would call it not exactly a dragon, but something similar.
That's right. I think black should be okay, but we will see. Of course, the pawn on e7 is very weak. You don't want to take on d5 because that opens the bishop. Rook a7 is a great move, which was played. That's exactly what I wanted, to protect the pawn on e7.
Yeah,
so then you can play the next move.
And hit the queen maybe. Okay, so that would be an idea for black. And look at what's white's clock. It's only 2 minutes 30 in comparison to black's over 6 minutes. That's a huge advantage. Maybe black can take
knight h2. Knight h2 right now. Oh, is it like queen e3 maybe, and the rook hitting the rook on a7?
Yeah, that's a good attempt for white. And if we take the rook on f1, then the rook on a7 gets dropped. So the fork does not work at all. Maybe not at all, but it doesn't work as good as we would like to. So what are the other ideas?
Yes, rook f8 you can play, right? Go for that endgame.
Yeah, rook.
You don't want endgame. Okay, yeah.
Okay, let's check if the endgame is okay. Takes. And what is this endgame all about?
Rook f1, king e8.
Yeah, king e8 is a forced move, so maybe now white can somehow exploit the fact that the king is on e8 and the rook is on a7. But I don't see any such way.
Yes, it's probably not that simple, but I agree. Maybe slowly to play c3, then knight f4, then bring bishop c2, bishop b3 after that plays bishop f7.
Can we put the knight on f4 immediately?
Yes, bishop will go to f7.
Yeah, it's probably nothing. Maybe get some chances on the other side of the board, but we've got a move, and it's rook to f8. It's not something really surprising. And queen e2 as a reply by white. So he's not interested in that endgame. Okay, so what is now the point for the black player? She can trade the rooks. But she goes for rook f7, so that if rook f7 happens, then the bishop has a safe square on f7, protecting the pawn. And maybe even later on, if we get out of the pin, play e6. If we, of course, move the queen away.
Yes, I like this move, rook f7, but white can
knight f4.
Play. Yes, knight f4.
Hitting those two pieces, and I guess black is forced to take on f4, which is not something she would like to.
No.
Because if we move the bishop away, then we lose the pawn on g6, and we can't somehow protect both weaknesses at the same time, so we have to take. But this bishop is a very important one.
So white will have advantage. I think another drawback of this move rook f7 was that white could have played rook f3. And black cannot already take, and then you will play rook df1 and somehow create some pressure, and black will never be able to take on
rook f3.
Rook f3.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Because if we take, then the knight gets stuck.
Yeah. And yes, and that will be very bad for black. So, and then you will play rook df1, and somehow looks like black will be in trouble.
But knight f4 is a more concrete way of dealing with it. But if we take on f4, we have to somehow take with the bishop, because if we take with the rook, then the knight can cement itself on e5, but if we take with the bishop, and after knight e5, we can take, and maybe take the pawn away. Or bishop, maybe move our bishop to c4. getting the discovery attack. If bishop takes, we take the queen, and after king g7 we take another rook. And if queen does a protection, then we take and claim that this position is better. All right, but black is in some sort of trouble. She thinks a lot right now about her choices, but I guess there's not much to choose from.
That's right. I think that move rook f7 was unsuccessful. That's why she's now in trouble. Let's maybe move to another game.
Yeah, the last one.
The last one.
Yeah, yesterday Kamil Khan and Marandi used to win a lot of games against Olga Badelka, but let's see if that trend continues to happen. What is this position right now? Last move was rook e3, f takes e5, and now the knight is hanging.
Yes, Olga is not afraid, but well, probably she's not.
Oh, knight e5, and if we take with the rook, then we drop the rook on a8.
Yes, and if king f6, then knight g4 will happen. So
game over.
That doesn't look. Yeah.
If king g6, then I can go like knight g6, double check, the most powerful check in the world. Attack by the knight and attack by the rook. If we move the king away, then it's rook to e8. So the game concludes. No, rook takes e5 was played, so we expect queen takes a8 and exchange and a pawn up for Grandmaster Ali Marandi. So I guess it's gonna be over soon. So maybe let's get back to our first game between Oparin and Theodore. I'm so confused by the placement of the knights. It's so weird.
Oh, so that was that game when the knight went to f7 and got trapped there. But
yeah,
on the other hand, white was a pawn up. So what we can see right now is, black is an exchange up, right?
Yeah, there was a sacrifice of the exchange, because in this position he could have, or maybe he couldn't go to rook takes c2, because rook takes c7 and this knight somehow gets awkward. Or maybe he did calculate something here.
Maybe he did calculate. So let's see what exactly.
The rook is hanging on a8, of course.
The rook is hanging, so he's about to win right now. Okay, then the game is over. Yes.
Okay, let's move to the second one, Bok Antipov. This one is also pretty confusing. Black did sacrifice a piece for 2 pawns, right? Like those two ones. And what's going on right now? Rook b3. Another pawn can be taken, but we don't really want to give that bishop up because of the mating ideas on the square of g7. So that's not the great move. And Antipov up on the clock. So let's see how he proceeds right now. Is it that piece sacrifice really working for him? What? Knight g3 takes, rook b6, or okay, maybe that was the idea, or maybe it was a miscalculation. We never know.
Maybe miscalculation. Maybe he missed that rook b6 move.
Yeah, because after knight d3, the queen attacks the king, and at the same time the rook is being attacked by the knight. So if we move the king, then we take on b4. But maybe he did miss the move rook b6, which deals with both of the threats at the same time. But the game went queen c5, queen d3, so what's going to happen? The knight is free right now to move. Knight e4, knight g5 might be the idea.
Yes, white is much better. White is objectively winning. It just maybe both of them are down to 1 minute and some seconds, so that might be the only challenge for white.
Let me interrupt you that Oparin did win indeed his game, so 1-0 up for the team of from Missouri, and now let's stick this game.
Okay.
Bishop to f5.
Bishop f5 is a good
provoking e4, I guess. Right? No, knight e4 was played by Bok, and if we take, then the bishop gets opened up, maybe even some sacrifice is possible, and the pawn on b7 is hanging as well. So that's not a great way of dealing with this position.
But what is the great way? Because the
Yeah.
bishop is under attack. So
That's
queen
true.
a7, rook takes b7. If queen d5 instead of queen a7, then knight f6. Oh no, because the queen on d3 is hanging.
Yeah, so
But
it's not
probably something
possible.
is going to happen.
But he took on e4. Maybe after queen d5, I was considering the move like g4.
G4, yes.
Yeah, and
might be.
takes. If bishop takes here, then we give a discovery attack and win the queen on d5. But if bishop takes, then we take back and take on b7. So that was my idea. But the game has progressed a lot. It takes on b7 and bishop f6. So after queen c6, we may witness an endgame with piece up for white, but at 2 pawns as a compensation. So there might be some drawing chances.
Right, but white will never give that e2 pawn. The c6 pawn is lost, and white just must protect the e2.
Maybe
by playing
e3.
Bishop f3. No.
Okay, bishop f3 is possible, but I don't really want to take right now because it would still drop the pawn, and bishop.
Rook c1, you have a move. Yeah,
bishop f6 was bishop f3 was played, king g7, and yeah, rook c1. That's the one idea.
King g2 first, you can start with, because after rook c1, probably rook a1 will play. But then, of course, you will take on a1 and take on c6, so finally you will accomplish your goal.
And that would be winning, of course. But now Bok does take his time. And are there any other results? Not yet, so we will stick with this game. Let's see how Benjamin converts his advantage. He did play a move. It's king g2, as you mentioned. And now rook to d8. Trying to get maybe first or second rank if the white rook somehow leaves this position. Rook c1 attacking c5, attacking c6, so the queen now is forced to move somewhere. But where? That's the big question. Yeah. Queen a3, okay, that's one of the ways of dealing with it. But after rook c6, you have to worry about rook d1. Followed up by rook a1 trying to snatch the pressure on the first rank.
Alright, that's probably why taking with the queen is safer.
But he took with the rook.
He took with the rook.
Yeah,
rook
so that's...
d1 and
maybe there are some ideas of...
Even with your rook on d1, you will not have that such a powerful compensation, because what are you gonna do? Maybe bishop e5 is the move he wants to answer after rook d1.
Queen a5 was played. Does it drop a rook to bishop c7 or not? Rook takes f6, yeah, and now bishop followed up by bishop f7, bishop c7. What's the idea? Or no, he went for queen e7. He goes for the kill, attacking the rook, attacking the pawn at the same time. So he will probably win smoothly. Queen a8, yes, and now anything can be possible. Queen f8 is the simplest way. And rook takes f7. Yeah, that's a star move. And winning the game on the spot. So a very nice victory for Benjamin. And they have a lead for the time being, because Ali Marandi did win as well. So the last game standing is between Raya Harshit and Stavroula Tsolakidou. So what is this endgame? White needs to win in order to secure a draw in the match, but is it possible to win it?
It's possible, but it's gonna be a long fight.
The time is extremely low for both sides, down to 10 seconds.
Yes.
And the pawn is being
everything
lost.
may happen.
Right.
But e7 is also hanging, so...
Oh, okay, so it's not that simple. Yes, c3,
yes,
preparing before. King f7 now before, of course. It's gonna happen. And soon it does. And what's the plan right now? This knight is being misplaced a little bit. I get a feeling like this. Knight d8 is the one way of dealing with this problem. Maybe bishop d7 and knight comes to e6 and bishop to c6 just to attack e4, and that's exactly what happened in the game. But c4 is a strong break in the center.
That's right.
Not in the center, but on the queen side. Knight e6, and can the b5 be taken? Knight g5. What is the plan? Because if you for example, take this way, then the pawn is running down the board and is winning. And if you take with the a pawn, then the a pawn still gets activated. So the endgame should be hopeless, because the idea is to go a7 and sacrifice the bishop for the pawn, deflecting the bishop on c6, because it has to stay on this diagonal.
Yes. I just wonder, why did white recapture with the h pawn on g5? Why not with the f1?
I'm confused as well. Maybe he didn't like the idea of bringing the king to e5. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. We will never know. But the game still continues, and another break, this time on the king side with the move f5. So he will get 2 passed pawns. And will it be enough to secure a victory? I guess it will.
It should be. Yeah,
because the king will come to take the h pawn away, and then it will come back to help the g pawn. For example, we put our king right here, and then we go with the g pawn. a7 has to be played sooner or later. That's my gut feeling. Although maybe not. Maybe the idea is to go bishop c8, bishop b7. Or bishop e4. Okay, bishop e4 should be enough, because if we take, then we take with the king, but h3 has been played, takes, king to f2, and the a pawn is unstoppable. It will win the game on the spot. So no draws. Yeah, despite the match being tight, no draws have been made. And all victories have been made by the white side. So white color has proven to be really strong in this particular mini-match. So we are really excited to see the second mini-match, which might decide our winner. But in case of another tie, there will be another mini-match as a tiebreak. Yep. And in case of the third tie, we would see one Armageddon game that will definitely end the match and result in a victory of one of the teams. All right, so maybe we can have a look at some of the games more deeply, because we have still 10 minutes to go to start the final mini-match. So what game do we want to look at in detail?
Maybe that game on board 1 between Oparin and Theodore.
Okay, so we finished our coverage at this point, claiming that white is significantly better. He's a pawn up, and at the same time his position is just better because the king is weak. Knight f8 was played, rook f1, and b5. What is this? That's the attempt to open everything up, right?
That's right.
Because if we take with the bishop, then we go queen c5, hit the king and hit the knight, so we win a piece. Right after, for example, queen f2, queen takes c3. Of course, it's not that simple yet, because we do lose a rook for a bishop at the same time. But I would say
knight d6 is coming here. Right now. Knight d6 might be a good move, like a double attack.
Yeah, it might be as well. If we take, then queen f7, king goes to e8 and queen a8, and it will be a winning position, that's for sure. So maybe that wasn't that scary. Like queen c5, queen f2. Can anything different be played here? I'm not sure.
But let's see how the game continued, because probably for white there is no point of going for such complications.
Yeah, he just went for knight takes b5, which is safer, simply. Queen c5, queen f2, queens got exchanged, rook e7 protecting the pawn, but at the same time freeing the square on d8 for the white's knight. Yeah, knight d8 on the board, and bishop takes e4. That's a sensible continuation, and knight takes c7. Oh, and if we take,
nice.
We've got a fork.
No, knight takes e6. We have to
first go rook takes f8. Yeah, that's obviously true. And if we take with the king, then we go knight d6, attacking the king, attacking the rook. And if we take on c4, then we've got a move like knight to e6, attacking the king and at the same time discovering the attack on the rook. Or not, wait. Yeah, that's true. I'm so confused with all those tactics. Because if we take on a8, then we take our rook back. But we can also take on c2, so it's not not that straightforward. Although it is winning.
No, there is rook d7, rook d7, rook d7.
Rook d7, king goes here, and
rook g7, because there is the rook is hanging. Oh, yep. You mean the other rook? Oh, okay.
That's why I meant the other rook to come to a7 for the safety purposes.
Both of them. The order is indifferent. Yep. And then the other rook somewhere.
So it would be winning, for example, like knight f4 can be played, maybe. Alright. So that's why rook takes c7 wasn't possible, wasn't really wasn't really good enough. Bishop takes c2 was played, and that's the position that we are looking at live, because if rook takes c2, then the move rook c7, yeah, that's what we covered.
Mm-hmm.
And the knight cannot come back, but it's still a pawn up. But Grigori decided to go for rook takes f8, which is obviously better. Takes rook f1 and taking the rook back. So a smooth victory for him. I would take a look at the game on the last board, just to check how Grandmaster Ali Marandi went for such a dominant position. So we've got a London system. Yesterday he was playing a lot of Trompowski, but today he's in the mood for the London. Alright, so we have a standard variation. Now the move is one move is queen e7, and the other one is the move b6 as chosen by Olga. Queen e2, bishop b7, rook d1, knight d7 is also standard play. Takes, knight d5, takes, knight g6, bishop takes, h takes g6, castles, and somehow this bishop on b7 is really passive, and the knight on e5 is really dominant. So I would say that white went really on top out of the opening.
Yes, but such positions are also not that simple. On the other hand, I agree with you. Bishop on b7 is really bad. So black would dream to have that pawn on d6 and instead of d5 and keep the bishop alive.
Yeah, and the pawn on d6 would also kick the knight away. So a double advantage.
Then I would have preferred black, but with the pawn on d5, of course, white seems to be better.
Yeah, all those tiny little details like a pawn placement is the clue, the key to mastery of chess. Knight d7, knight f3 takes. So we have a good knight versus bad bishop, a typical position. a5, queen g4, and Kamil Khan went straightforward for the attack.
I'm not sure if a5 was a good move. Let's come back. Because now black could have played something like g5. But then queen h5, right? Yes, I'm trying to play f6, but queen h5 probably is the...
Yeah, it does hit the pawn on g5, and after f6, knight g6, right?
Knight g6, yes. So that's not so great for them.
Although the knight is trapped here.
Yeah, but we know that it doesn't work.
Yeah, h4.
So white can play, yeah, even f4 I would try to open my...
I like it more.
Yeah, that's too dangerous for black. Yes. So again, probably that weakness, the problem of black's position is this pawn on g6. If it was on h7, maybe some moves like f6 could be played, and then maybe black was okay.
Okay, let's take a look how it went. Knight g6, rook e8, rook d3, and now rook prepares to go either to h3 or to e3. So e5, d takes, bishop c8. Queen to h5, bishop f5, rook e3, and that's the position we were witnessing live.
Oh, right.
And yeah, it was quite smooth for the white player. So the opening was really important, like crucial, I would say, for the course of the game.
I definitely agree with it.
Yeah, because after the opening we got up to this position, which turns out to be really passive and really difficult to play. Maybe it's okay or not that bad, but it's really difficult to play, especially in the rapid game. So that explains that loss for Olga. And we have the lineups for our final mini match. So it's gonna be the same lineup for the St. Louis University, but we have some changes for University of Missouri. Christopher Repka and women grandmaster Tohirionova changing places with Raya Harshit and Olga Badelka. That change was did happen yesterday a lot, and it proved to be quite beneficial for the University of Missouri, because they won a lot of mini matches there.
So let's see, new players. Well, it's the advantage of having several students very strong. You can change them and maybe.
We've got some issues again, unfortunately. Maybe they will be solved
maybe
quickly. Can you hear me?
They are solved. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, they are solved.
Yes.
So just as we go to the finals, everything is correct. All right, let's maybe check the game between Antipov and Bok, as I see it already being started. Although just the first move has been made, pawn to d4.
Right. It's very interesting actually. Something has changed in the chess, in the university chess, that so many teams, the best teams in the world, are in the United States. So in particular, among the top 4 teams that played today the final, the World Cup, 3 of them were representing the United States. Earlier, that wasn't the case. Of course, Russian universities were dominating. Armenian university was very strong. Now it's much different. So there is a big geographic change in the university chess world.
Yeah, nowadays traveling around the world is much easier than a couple years before. So that also explains that many students from different countries go to US, and they are also strong chess players, and they are good students at the same time.
That's right. So let's see how the game is developing.
It's a weird opening. Queen
Yeah.
d3.
So
What
queen
is this?
d3 is not to allow black to develop the bishop to f5.
Yeah, and
but
maybe
black played a g6, so the next move will be bishop f5 with a tempo. I'm not sure how great idea it was for white to do.
Maybe it's just a surprising idea for black, but I don't see why is it that good for white at all.
Right. Well, the only thing is black had to develop bishop to g7, but maybe instead of developing to e6, I mean through e6 and then bishop e7. But I think people like to have bishop on g7. So
yeah, and it also helps the bishop to come to f5.
Yes.
But why?
So I think black is completely fine right now. White will play e3. White will try to develop bishop in that way. And this bishop on g7 might be hitting the d4 pawn. So that's like the strategic idea. It will be blocked. I actually recently tried to explain some of those strategic concepts. I even wrote a book, Chess Strategy Explained. We try to take try to explain those kind of things. This game reminds me some of the concepts I was trying to explain there. But I don't think this is like the right moment to do it. Just black develops so easily. You should definitely hope for more as white.
Especially that the bishop still comes to f5 and it hits the queen of the tempo, so it's definitely a tempo loss for Antipov. But maybe he delays castling, because if we go bishop f5, queen d2, knight d7, he wants to go g4.
White will step back to d1 with the queen.
Oh
not
yeah,
to d2.
Go step back to e1 and g4.
Yes. That's one of possibilities for white. But I don't think black is gonna develop knight to d7. Black will try to play somehow with c5, which means he can begin with queen b6. So bishop f5 is good, then queen b6, and then c5. And something like that.
Yeah, and queen b6 is on the board, and queen b3 by Antipov. So we've got...
And I would expect something like c5, which is a pawn sacrifice, because dc5, queen c5, queen b7 has to be calculated, but I don't know how good it is for white. Maybe winning a pawn, but on the other hand, look, white is undeveloped yet. So if the things go wrong, maybe...
Yeah, maybe put knight here and
problems.
Get
black should have
like
good compensation, yes. But I don't know. That's definitely something Benjamin Bock is calculating right now. Is it worth it to go for c5? He doesn't have to. He has a great position. But if it works, then definitely it's a great idea to do it.
Yeah, and but Benjamin is down on time, like 2.5 minutes. So definitely a tough decision for him. Let's take a look at the game from the board number 3, because from the very beginning I saw that it was some sort of forced line in the Catalan again. The open line was played yesterday between...
So actually, we saw her playing twice against Ulvi Bajarani today, two Catalan games. Once she was white, then she was black. Now again, she's playing as white against Krzysztofa Repka.
Yeah, and yesterday she also played against Repka in this opening. Knight c6, queen c2. That's not the common move. You usually go e3 just to protect the pawn, but now queen c2, sacrificing on d4. Knight d2, c3. What is this?
Some theoretical line. So
I'm not sure if it's theory at all. I studied this line back in the days when I was into chess that much, but I haven't seen a move like queen to c2.
It happens in many positions, but usually when black takes on d4, all those lines finish in a draw, like in an equal position at least.
Yeah,
so
because
here the same may happen, because white can win b7 back, so it will be more or less equal.
Or maybe I would even pick black here, because the c3 pawn, it's somehow weird.
I totally agree. Black is slightly better right now. And there are many plans possible. White king is a little bit weak. You can try to play h5, h4 somewhere. Attack the king. Queen h5, knight g4 is another option. But after bishop takes b7, bishop b7 in that position, bishop b7, bishop b7, b7.
Something like this.
Now the queen is a bit weakened, yes. Or h5, h4.
Because the bishop is quite strong over there.
Yes, and the c1 bishop is very passive. But let's come back to the game. Let's see what
white will choose. But she takes her time. She doesn't want to commit too early. What can she think about right now? Maybe knight to e4.
Knight e3. Knight e4. Yes, knight e4. I thought it was a good move. Knight takes e4. Bishop takes e4.
Hitting h7 and preparing some idea bishop to e3, trying to get something against that queen.
Yes, I fully agree. This looks much better than capturing on b7 immediately.
Yes, but no move has been made yet, so definitely a tough decision. Because knight b3 is also pretty tempting. Maybe even knight can come to f3 sometimes. Who knows? What's the best? Alright, so maybe let's jump to the game on the board number 4. There is some crazy action ongoing, I can already see it.
That's French, probably.
Yeah, it's a French.
By distraction. Yeah,
that's the French. And the move h5. Alright. Usually they play the move like g5 as well. But h5, I'm not that familiar with.
Nowadays, you don't know it. It's like Carlsen can play h5 in any position he likes.
Yeah, that's
and anyway,
true.
he proves it's a good move. Yes, this line exists. We had a bad experiences. Poland playing once against Azerbaijan. One of our players played it at the Olympiad. He lost that line as black. So that's why I recalled the same structure and the same problem, which is a very passive bishop and very weak king.
Although the central pawn mass can be
Exactly.
really dangerous.
There must be something, otherwise nobody would go for it if it was just problems.
Of course.
There are some hopes. If the mass of the pawns advances, then of course black will be better, but it's unlikely to happen, unfortunately. I think black will have problems in this game.
Yeah, now e5 is certainly not possible because it is covered twice and only being attacked once. But maybe in the future queen can come, maybe not to f6, because queen f6 will be met by something like bishop to e5. So
yes. I would say some bishop h6, queen h4 is a probable line.
Yeah, okay, let's take a look at it. Bishop h6, queen to h4, and that's indeed what happened, bishop to h6. So queen h4 is a natural follow-up, and if we take on g7, strategically looks like white is doing fantastically, because once again, good knight versus a bad bishop. But it's not that easy.
Some rook e5 may happen right now, because I want to take advantage of the dark squares.
Yeah, but
and indeed, queen g5 going for an endgame or rook g5 going for some checkmate might be problematic.
But Ali Marandi went for queen f6, and after takes queen to f4. So now he makes sure that the e5 square is being covered, and f6 trying to cover the square as black is not possible because it would lose a pawn on e6. But is there any other way of continuing in this position? Maybe preparing it, rook e8. And rook e8 has been played.
I think rook fe8, yes. Yeah. Because rook ae8, I think what white wanted to do is to attack the c6 pawn. You see, black has problems everywhere. So
that will be
I'm not sure.
Outcome.
Yes. So probably that's why he played rook fe8, just to be able to use the other rook to defend the queen side.
Yeah, that's definitely true, because if we now go something like queen c7, then for example f6, and if knight takes on c7, on c6, then we go rook c8, hitting both the queen and the knight.
I like this line.
Yeah, that's pretty instructive. And now a big decision for Tohirionova.
Yes. Because again, if only black manages to
queen c7 on the board.
Queen c7, okay. Rook ad8 was played as black. Well, I like your move f6 more. That was a good move because that's the main idea of black, to move the pawns. Now, nothing can stop black from playing e5.
Maybe there was some tactical explanation of this. Like queen d6, hitting e6 and hitting c6. e5, knight takes c6. Maybe that's the point.
But, okay, and if rook e6, then queen takes d5, okay.
Maybe it works, but okay, let's take a look at how the game goes. Rook a to d8 and rook a to c1, protecting the c3 pawn just in case, so that later we can jump and take the pawn on c6. So I would say that white's position is significantly better, and that would be maybe not a big surprise, but that would be definitely quite a shock for Ali Marandi, since I guess he hasn't lost a game in either Blitz nor the Rapid World Cup finals.
It's a very important moment now of the game. Black played f6, the move we're discussing. Black is ready to play e5, and if white continues with knight takes c6, then rook c8 happens, and black wins. So white must take a decision, because again, a white had advantage, but if the things go wrong for white, then this central mass can decide the outcome of the game, and that's what Ali Marandi is hoping for. Let's see what white can do. Like, I would think about some move like c4, that first move that comes to my mind. But then probably black can play e5, and that's the line which has to be somehow calculated. Is it good for white or is it good for black?
Can I sacrifice a piece, or is it too much? I guess it is too much.
You may you can try that. That's exactly what I was thinking of, and I don't think it's that clear. So let's try to take it on d5. On
Take,
d5,
take.
and take on e8. Take on e8.
Yeah, take here, and I need to take the rook. All right.
Yes.
What is this?
And then take on c6.
And bishop moves maybe f5, or maybe e6, or f5 is okay. It's a good square.
What I can say, probably there is not enough compensation. The pawns are not going anywhere.
So queen b6 was played, attacking c6, now making sure that after rook knight c6 there's no rook c8, and after rook to c8 the pawn on a6 can be taken, and indeed was.
So then e5.
Yeah.
And now the position is extremely complicated. I think black has a very strong compensation for that pawn. Look at the pawns on the king side now in the center. f5, f4, e4, e3, f3. I like black more.
Yeah, f5, and the pawns are rolling. It's not easy to stop them. Maybe even some king side initiative can be seized by f4, g3, trying to get the king straight away. But now c4 is an opportunity, maybe.
But yeah, c4, d4, that's what black will be always answering. I think f4, black should continue pushing the pawns. And then at one moment that may become really dangerous for...
Yeah, and f4 indeed on the board, and that's what we witness. And b5, trying to get the advantage on the queen side, maybe create some pass pawn that would distract black's pieces from the king side initiative.
Yeah, so in a sense, it's like in the king's Indian. White is advancing on the queen side, and black is trying to checkmate on the king side. The outcome of such a game, you never know. But like objectively, I like black more in this situation. I think black, the structure of black is so powerful that the center is so nice.
Especially in a rapid game and in online rapid game. The attacks
so
usually...
On the other hand, in online chess or in rapid chess, the pawns are able to run very fast.
Yeah, so, that's true. So it will be definitely unclear. Both players still have around 5 minutes, so quite enough to not blunder anything simple, but maybe not enough to think of something really complex.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we have a move for rook to f8, but let's check the game on the first board between Nicolas Theodore and Grigory Oparin. It was once again a reti opening, but the final position is the most interesting one for us. The pawn on f2 is hanging, but can it be taken?
The pawn on f2. All right, looks like white is better in this position. White is 2 pawns up, as I can see. So if black wins the f2, still white will be a pawn up. But I think the biggest issue will be the pawn on d5, which is a passed pawn and might cause a lot of problems to black.
Yeah, if we take with knight on f2, then what's the follow-up?
Even queen e6 check, and let's try to see what's gonna happen in this endgame, which is definitely better for white. And then e7 and knight d5. I will protect my pawn, and I will be still, in addition to my extra pawn, I will have that passed pawn in e7.
Yeah, so not that easy for black to find a good way of defending, and let's remind, he's 2 pawns down, so it's a very difficult situation for him.
Yeah, I think Theodore is is close to win. Maybe what black needs to do is to try to play rook a to e8 to activate his rook and also to take all the squares on the e file right under control. The e4 square, the e6 square. So then after knight takes f2, yes, there is no queen e6 check, so black will have some counterplay.
Rook takes f2 has been played. That's queen e6.
That's a good, and you see queen e6. That's exactly what I was afraid of. That pawn might be dangerous, but now it's a better version of it for black because the knight is already on d3. Yes, white rook cannot go to e1. All the lines are blocked, so this endgame is not that bad as the previous one. So let's see what happens. Rook e8 probably, but white will play what, e7.
e7, rook f7, trying to take the pawn, and knight d5 protecting it. But what to do now? Maybe
rook... that would happen? No. If it's not what happened, then no, not rook f7. Don't come back with that rook. You have a great rook on f2. Try to play king f7 to take this pawn, and then if knight d5, then take something on the second rank, like knight b2. Maybe.
Can I attack this knight?
You can. Oh, your king is. Oh, I see. Oh, rook f5. Yeah, rook f5. I like it. Yeah.
Knight d3. And then it's not over yet.
Not over yet. Yeah.
Rook f3. Oh, that's difficult. Knight c4, rook e7, takes, and pawn up.
Let's see, but maybe let's do it better with black. I somehow thought. Oh, he played rook f6 right now.
Yeah, rook f6 is on the board, and after e7, then probably rook to e6 will come.
Or he wants to take the b2 pawn, and he doesn't want his rook on f2 to be hanging.
Yeah, that's also possible. So that will be definitely an interesting endgame, since anything can happen. In fact, maybe not. I can't imagine black winning, but a draw or a win for white are, I guess, they have the same likelihood.
White is definitely better in this position. Just I'm thinking what would be the best way. Rook f1 is one of the moves which I have to, and if you take my pawn on e6, I will go with rook f2, f7.
He went knight d5. Oh, sorry, not this game. Yeah, he went knight d5, forcing him to take, and then rook f1, preparing knight to f6.
Okay. Yeah, that.
And rook f8 is not possible. Check. King goes h8 and knight g6. Beautiful tactics. So that might be a tough position to hold for Oparin.
Yes, black can try to play rook f8 and after knight e7 take on e7 and then take on b2, but I think white will be very easily winning in that endgame. It's just
and he went knight c5. All right, so now in case of knight f6, we take this knight and win a piece, so that's not possible.
Okay.
Can we go rook to c7? That's my question.
Probably that's what's gonna happen in this
But then game. Knight a6 maybe, trying to get some
perpetual... Then you take that c4 pawn and then you are winning because you have an extra pawn plus the g5 pawn is very weak.
Yeah,
so
that's
this
true.
Game is just winning.
So let's see how Nicolas will deal with it. He went for the move rook c7 indeed. He's a little bit down on time, 1 minute behind his opponent, but I guess it won't matter that much in the end game.
So let's briefly look what's happening in the remaining games, and we'll come back to see
yeah, so maybe let's jump to the board number 2. Okay, there will be some complicated endgame. Definitely.
So white is slightly better. Okay, let's see Morgan.
Okay, that's the fight I want to see, definitely.
Oh, okay.
So we've got a knight and a bishop for a rook, and how many pawns? 3? And 3 pawns, right?
I think 2 pawns, but at this moment, like, yes, bishop takes f4, and what is...
Yeah, because there's a discovery on the queen, and you can't then take the bishop. So what's the play? Queen to g4, or is it not? Maybe
Yeah,
queen,
I'm not
queen
sure
h5.
Yeah, but then bishop, bishop e3 and check on
Check.
f3 and then d5.
Yeah, that was my idea. And go to d4, deflect the bishop, and then take the pawn on f2.
Yeah, well, queen f1, I will come back, right? So I will be on time to protect
But
my pawn.
still,
But
those pieces get less and less room.
bishop d2.
And bishop d2. This move can be considered. A5 maybe not. No, e4 is dropping the pawn. Okay, so definitely some fight. But what's the move played in the game? d5 immediately. Look at this. And if we take the queen, then we take the queen back, and both pieces are under attack.
Yeah, it's a double attack. Mikhail Tal once said that the game of chess was all about the double attack. And here we have that example.
Yeah, queen c5, it's not over yet. Queen to h5, now the bishop will retreat. So there is a little bit better.
Notice the queen had to come back to h5 because white was threatening to play. Oh, wait. Why bishop d2? Why not queen d5 right now? The last move. I'm not sure. I didn't understand that part.
Yeah, and there's a pin.
Yeah.
So
what's wrong with it?
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably due to the time that they failed to find everything correctly. And now we see that black is certainly taking the initiative over, and it might be tough to hold for white.
Yes, but on the other hand, the pawns are not moving yet, so now bishop should come back to g5 to stop it instantly, or white can play h4. Both of them are possible. It's absolutely not over.
Yeah, so a lot of fight coming. Black is better, but will it be enough to convert? We never know. I guess we will stick with this game since a lot of action is really ongoing right now. H4, as you mentioned, is the best move, and it has been played. So what is now the plan for white to get through? For black, I'm sorry.
For black, somehow to play e4, e3, but of course you have that problem of the d4 hanging pawn, so you need to protect it. Rook f6 is a good move, very useful move.
I've got an idea, but no, it's not working. If I get my rooks there and sacrifice the one on g3, but it's...
Yes, but I will place my bishop on g5. Yeah. That's my goal anyway. I'm gonna go.
Yes, so that's what happened. Maybe I can put my rook on c2 and the other one on f8 and try to pressure the f2 pawn more. Rook c2?
That's a good idea. And with this move rook c2, you are also protecting your pawn on b7. So the queen is now protecting the pawn. The pawn is not hanging anymore.
And I just want to maybe take the a2 pawn.
Just be careful. Yeah. Well, maybe actually white is in trouble.
That's a bad looking move.
Yeah, knight takes d4 is of course the main idea, the trap.
Yeah, but I can play rook f8 and after queen takes e5 I can take on f2.
Yes, you can do it. Yeah, definitely.
So, but rook e2 on the board and knight d2, queen d3, all right, and queen d1, e4. Yeah, the pawns get rolling, so it's gonna be difficult for white. Knight b3, yeah, and the queen trade can be welcome even for black, and it is. Since the pawns are really advanced, and you can go maybe for the a pawn or create a passer on the queen side as it was done right now. Yeah, so the endgame is favorable, definitely.
Yes, black is better. I thought there was also another option of playing for white a move not d3 but e3 in that moment, trying to open the position, but I think both of them are okay.
Right now e3, right?
Somewhere there. e3, yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Just to open the second rank to weaken the king.
But ultimately it still got opened, but let's see if it is enough to get a win. I guess it, or maybe it, I thought there's a win with rook g2, king f1, rook e2, but you can come back with the king and attack the rook permanently.
But that endgame should be lost if you play rook h1, rook h1 check after king g1, rook e g2, king f1. Yeah. Give the check on g2,
yeah,
king f1, and give check on h1. Just trade the rooks.
Yeah, that's the
This
idea,
endgame
but Christopher Repka does not go for it yet. He goes rook e2, rook g2. Maybe he wants to get his clock going up, since...
But that's the first move. No, that's the first move. And after king f1, you play rook h1 check.
Okay, king f1, and did he go for it? Not yet. But rook h1 seems like the only option available. Rook a2 is on the board. That's a little bit confusing to me.
King g1 will happen.
Yeah, and rook c2. Definitely does not clearly know what to do, but it's understandable since he's really low on time.
But now some bishop d2 will happen, so I'm not sure how great idea it was. So you cannot push your b pawn. And then if I only manage to bring my king f2, king e3, the things will get super complicated.
By the way, Nicolas Theodore did ultimately defeated Grigory Oparin, so a very important victory for St. Louis. Let's see if there will be a strike back in some of the games. Let's stick with this one. The pawns are rolling, but is it enough to get a win? Probably it is, since you can't really take on d3.
Yeah, I think White made a mistake. There was that bishop d2 critical move earlier.
Yeah, right now.
Right now, yes. I don't know. Maybe Black wanted to play b4 anyway, but
maybe
now it's super simple to win. Yeah. Now just I don't know, b2 wins or
b2 and creating the threat of rook h1. Let's for example this idea, and the knight gets deflected. So that would be probably winning, but he goes for rook to e2. If knight takes, then of course we take back and we do a fork. But Stavrula went back with the king, so it's not that easy still. The idea of b2 later on is of course a must, and yeah, it indeed happened. Can I right now take on e2, or is it... Yeah, take on b2, make a draw.
Oh, and bishop takes b2.
Yeah, bishop b2, rook b2, rook d3. Okay, that's a big miss. That's a big miss, definitely. Or maybe can I fight for more? Probably not. So it will be a draw. I'm curious why he didn't go for rook g2, king f1, b2. Maybe there was some idea, but I don't see none.
Nobody knows. No, nobody knows. And you can also win by playing, instead of b2, by playing rook d2. Threatening checkmate in one. Rook e2, check, king f1, and rook d2.
Yeah, alright, and if we trade, the pawns are definitely too much. So the game has concluded in a draw. The game on the board number 4 is a draw as well, so it all comes down to the game between Antipov and Bog. It is also concluded in a draw, so I guess we have a champion. The St. Louis University won their second mini-match against University of Missouri 2.5, 1.5, and won the entire event. So that's a revenge for yesterday's loss.
Wow. That's interesting. But that also means actually that in the United States, there are many universities that are at the same level against in this Blitz championship, which we had 2 weeks ago. The University of Texas Rio Grande Valley finished first in the team standings. A week later, University of Missouri finished first. Yesterday, we saw University of Missouri winning the team event, and today St. Louis University wins. So it's a pretty big competition, and we are talking already about the best universities in the world.
Yes, so a lot of excitement, a lot of interesting games, and ups and downs for any of the team, in fact. But one thing we can agree at is probably that both of the finalists were equal competitors, and they were somehow at least slightly better than the other teams in the pack.
That's right, but we can also see that sometimes one game or even one move could make the difference. Like we saw that game of Christopher Repkarada making that terrible blunder in the mistake in the very end of the game. It would have finished differently the entire match. It would have been 2-2, and we would have witnessed a tiebreak. But because of that blunder, I think he forgot about his Sukoni 2 that it was hanging. Because he put it earlier, White couldn't take it, and just the rook stayed there. And that was, terrible, terrible.
Yeah, it was mainly due to due to him being low on time, and he also failed to convert earlier, and he got probably really nervous. So that mistake is understandable.
Yes, but it cost the potentially this World Cup trophy for the University of Missouri. The trophy was won today by the St. Louis University, one of the best universities in the United States, both academically and in chess. In the United States, in 1 week, we'll have our national championship. And of course, St. Louis University is their University of Texas Rio Grande Valley as well. So we will have very soon in 1 week another opportunity for a rematch, and we will see how it goes.
All right, and that's the final tournament of the entire event of the World University Online Championship. So how can we sum up the entire event?
Amazing success, unbelievable success. When I offered to organize that World Championship, and also I suggested some proposals, some changes to the regulations, I expected it would be a successful event, but I didn't know it would be that successful, because we had almost 1,000 participants playing in the World University individual Blitz Championship, almost 900 playing in the Rapid Championship, World University Rapid Championship. And they represented so many countries. So we had about 100 countries represented in total, about 1,200 unique students participating. That's really a lot for university events. And probably another conclusion, which wasn't clear to me at all, was because it's again the first time ever when there is a university standing. So all students in individual events would also represent their universities, not directly their countries. And it turned out that the United States has the strongest universities, chess universities in the world right now. It wasn't obvious to me. I expected some Russian schools or some Chinese universities would do very well in this event, but no. Again, yesterday and today, among the top 4 universities in the world, 3 of them were from the United States.
All right. In case you have any last questions for this broadcast, please feel free to ask. We do check the chat on FIDE and on Chess24. And I would say the event was really exciting to watch. A lot of interesting moments and unexpected results as well, both in the individual competition and in the team competition today. And as you mentioned, one move is a game changer. Anything can be different. Only the one move.
That's right. And not only in the finals today, the same was valid for the semi-finals, when also the matches were very, very close. And one move, one game, or one decision. For instance, in the semi-final match between the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley and the St. Louis University, Alicja Śliwicka had to take a decision whether to accept a threefold repetition or keep playing. She decided to repeat moves, and eventually, she didn't know it, but eventually the team lost. She had huge advantage. She could have continued playing and maybe winning the match, and then maybe the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley would be the one in the finals of this event. So very, very close. It means there is no like one favorite in the world, like one university dominating over all others. No, it's pretty equal. There are at least a few universities at a very comparable level, which actually is great. And I truly hope FIDE will continue with this event, and we'll see more individual championships or purely team versus team events like we saw today. But hopefully in the fall or maybe next year, FIDE will organize like a big World University Championship of team playing versus team.
Yeah, we definitely hope to see more of those events, especially when the pandemic is over. We would love to see some maybe hybrid competition with the online qualifiers and the finals over the board. That will be great to watch.
Yes, that may happen. This year it was impossible to organize hybrid events, and the reason is because students take most of their classes online, and some of them live in different cities, different states, for instance, in the United States, or even in different countries. Some students, as we could even see today, they are from European countries. So you cannot gather them. You can't ask everybody to gather on campus because nobody is there. Everybody takes classes online. Hopefully already in the fall semester, if not, then in the spring 2022 semester, the things will get closer to something which we knew as normal life, and hopefully then we can have those hybrid events or maybe face-to-face events.
All right, so I guess that will conclude our broadcast. Thank you a lot, Bartek, for joining me today. It was a great pleasure to host that event with you.
Thank you very much. Maybe in my final word, let me thank some people who did a really great job. So first of all, I would like to thank FIDE for trusting University of Texas Rio Grande Valley and awarding us that prestigious event. Secondly, Grandmaster Paweł Tregubov was in charge of this preparation of this event from the beginning on behalf of FIDE. He did a really tough job. FIDE helped a lot with the registration process. Imagine 1,000 students, you have to check, register them, then check their eligibility. Are they really students? Do they take classes? Is it really a university? Lots of job. And the arbiters of this event were a great international arbiter, Tomasz Delega as the chief arbiter, and his team, the deputy Tanya Karali, and the entire team. There were 30 arbiters. I will not, of course, mention all of them. It's impossible. But thank you all. Thank you, the entire team. Thank you all, also to Alex Mishta, who prepared. He was not present on this Zoom. Nobody really could see it, but he did a lot of work during the preparation stage for this event. So thank you all. Thank you, the entire World Championship team, for making it happen. And I hope you enjoyed to watch the event, and I hope students enjoyed playing. We actually received already some emails with very positive feedback. So I really hope we just started something new, something amazing, which will continue in the following years.
So thank you, everybody. Thank you to all the viewers who watched the broadcast, and hopefully we will see each other soon in the other events like this. Goodbye.